The arrival, the vast silence of space stretched across the Sol system, calm and endless, yet on Earth, alarm screamed through every command center. Humanity had seen many things in space, meteors, comets, even distant alien probes, but nothing like this. On the dark side of the moon, the first sensors picked it up, a massive fleet moving toward the inner planets, silent, fast, and impossibly huge. Captain Aria Lee of the United Earth Fleet stared at the monitor, her heart pounding, the image of the alien ships filling the screen, strange geometrical patterns glinting under the sun's light. "This is not natural," whispered Commander Rook, his voice tight, as if saying it louder might make it vanish. The fleet scrambled, dozens of ships launching toward the outer edges of the system. From Mars to Jupiter, humanity braced for the unknown, questions racing through minds like fire. No signal, no response, just cold, calculated movement, as if the fleet was not alive but a force of nature itself. The president of the United Earth government called an emergency meeting, the room tense with fear and disbelief. "Are they hostile?" someone asked, but no one knew. Every intelligence system was activated, satellites scanning, trying to understand, yet every report contradicted the last. Even the most advanced AI struggled to interpret the data, showing nothing that matched any known species. Captain Lee felt the weight of every life under her command. Her fleet was advanced, well-trained, and ready for war, but nothing could prepare them for a force that didn't communicate, didn't negotiate, only came. As they approached Jupiter's orbit, strange readings began to appear on every screen. Energy spikes, distorted signals, even ghost-like blips that vanished when targeted. It was as if the aliens were not only watching humanity, but toying with them, testing their courage, or maybe their fear. Then the first human probe was sent, a small, unarmed ship, to collect data. The fleet held its breath, watching as it moved closer to one of the massive alien vessels. The probe's signal flickered, jumped, and then vanished entirely, leaving nothing but static. A heavy silence fell over the bridge, and even the seasoned veterans could feel that something had crossed the line. Captain Lee's hands tightened around the console, knowing that once humanity stepped further into the Sol system, there would be no turning back. Outside the window, the alien fleet moved like shadows over the gas giant, beautiful and terrifying. No engines, no lights, no sound, just presence. And yet the humans could feel it pressing against them, testing the limits of courage, of reason. Messages from Earth tried to reach them. Retreat, stay back. But deep in their hearts, every pilot and captain knew curiosity would win over caution. The unknown called to them, irresistible and deadly. And then, as the first fleet of human ships crossed the orbit of Saturn, the aliens made their first move. A ripple in space, like a silent storm, washed over the sensors, confusing every system. Ships trembled, communications flickered, and for a moment, the stars themselves seemed to shift. Captain Lee's voice broke the silence, firm but shaking. "All units, hold position, and prepare for what we cannot imagine." In that instant, humanity understood the truth. The Sol system was no longer theirs alone. Something vast, ancient, and utterly unknowable had entered their home, and the first chapter of this encounter had only begun. First contact. The human fleet moved cautiously through the dark expanse beyond Jupiter, every ship alert, every sensor active, yet the alien vessels remained silent, like shadows frozen in space. Captain Aria Lee's eyes never left the main screen, watching shapes that no human mind had ever imagined. They were huge, geometric, and impossible to measure, with surfaces that reflected nothing and absorbed everything. "Scans show energy fields beyond comprehension," whispered Lieutenant Mara, her hands trembling over the console. "It's like they exist in two places at once," added Engineer Cohn, staring at the readings that defied logic. No sound came from the alien ships, no signal, only a presence, pressing against the minds of humans like cold water. The fleet formed a loose formation, a cautious embrace, moving closer toward one of the largest vessels, bigger than Jupiter's moon, Ganymede. A probe was sent first, small and unarmed, a tiny human ship trying to understand. It drifted silently, approaching the alien ship, cameras and sensors capturing every detail. For a moment, the crew aboard the human fleet felt hope, thinking maybe they could learn something. Then the probe disappeared, not destroyed, just gone, like it had been folded into the dark. "Lost it," said Captain Lee, her voice steady but her heart pounding. "Check every system. Find it, now." The bridge hummed with tension, alarms beeping, screens flashing, but the probe was gone. No trace, no debris, nothing. The aliens made no move, yet humans felt watched, studied, tested. "Are they alive?" asked Ensign Jiro barely above a whisper. "I don't know," admitted Commander Roll. "But they are aware of us, and they know exactly what we are thinking." Even the AI systems struggled, their calculations falling into chaos as the fleet moved closer to Saturn's orbit. Every human knew that curiosity was dangerous, yet fear alone could not hold them back. Then, unexpectedly, a signal appeared on the main console, strange and jagged, not a language, not a code, just vibrations that felt alive, almost sentient. Lieutenant Mara tried to decode it, fingers flying over keys, but the message slipped through every filter. The signal pulsed, sending waves through the fleet's systems, confusing navigation, communication, even targeting computers. A chill ran through the crew, the sense that the aliens were not just observing but communicating on their own terms, in ways humans could not understand. Captain Lee made a decision, knowing the risks. "Prepare a small strike team," she ordered. "We need visual contact, no weapons, only observation." The team suited up, stepping into pods that would carry them close to the alien vessel. As they approached, the surface of the ship rippled like liquid metal, reflecting their own images back at them. The closer they got, the more they realized the vessel was alive, not in the way humans lived, but in a way that defied thought. Lights flickered across its surface, strange symbols appearing and disappearing faster than eyes could see. Then, as the strike team reached the threshold, a flash of energy erupted. It was not an attack, yet it felt like a test, probing the minds of the humans. Pods trembled, sensors overloaded, and for a moment, every human felt fear like they had never known. Captain Lee's voice broke through the chaos. "Hold steady. Remember who we are. Observe and survive." And in that moment, the fleet realized the truth. Humanity was no longer the master of its own destiny. Something older, stronger, and beyond comprehension had entered the Sol system, and the first real encounter had begun, leaving every human wondering if they would ever return with a story to tell. Into the darkness, the human fleet drifted deeper into the Sol system, moving past Saturn's rings, every ship on edge, sensors alive with strange readings that made engineers question reality. Captain Arya Lee stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the darkness ahead, her mind heavy with worry. The alien fleet moved like shadows, distant yet always present, unseen but felt. "Captain, energy fluctuations ahead," said Lieutenant Mara, pointing to the monitor. "Gravitational anomalies. They're shifting our course," added Engineer Cohn, his hands shaking. Ships wobbled in space, compasses spinning, systems failing. No enemy fire, no collisions, just the weight of something unseen, pressing against them. The first strange sight appeared near a dense asteroid field. A faint light moved among the rocks, drifting like a ghost. Sensors could not identify it, yet the crew swore they saw shapes, humanoid and alien, rising and falling among the asteroids. "Are those alive?" whispered Ensign Jiro, voice barely audible. Captain Lee only shook her head. "We don't know, and we may never know." Despite the fear, the fleet pressed on, curiosity stronger than caution. The probe drones were deployed, but each returned with corrupted data. Images twisted, signals scrambled. Some crews began reporting strange visions, seeing memories that were not their own. A pilot swore he saw the face of a lost sibling smiling at him from the void. Another claimed the stars themselves whispered in a language he almost understood. Fear and wonder mixed into something heavier, almost unbearable. Then, without warning, the first human ship vanished. One moment it was in formation, the next, gone. No explosion, no debris, no warning, only a cold, empty space where it had been. A ripple of panic spread through the fleet, alarms blaring, voices shouting over each other. Captain Lee gritted her teeth, knowing that hesitation could cost them all. "Stay calm, maintain formation. We will not lose control," she shouted, voice echoing in the command deck. Another ship disappeared moments later, swallowed by the dark. The energy readings spiked, the stars outside bending strangely. Crew members began to fear looking out the windows, seeing shadows move where nothing should exist. "Sir, I don't know if I can explain it," stammered Lieutenant Mara. Captain Lee's hand rested on the console, steady but firm. "We survive by moving forward, no matter what." The fleet entered a narrow corridor between two massive asteroids, a tunnel of dark rock and silent void, stretching beyond sensors' reach. Shadows flickered across the hulls of ships, strange ripples distorting reality itself. Even the AI began sending warnings, confused, conflicting, unable to make sense of the phenomena. Then came the faint signal, almost melodic, drifting through space. Not a call, not a warning, but something that pricked the minds of humans. It tugged at memories, at emotions, at fears buried deep. Some crews froze, unable to act, staring blankly at the stars as if hypnotized. Captain Lee's voice cut through the haze. "Fight it. Focus. We are human. We endure." By the time they emerged from the asteroid corridor, several ships had vanished. The remaining fleet was smaller, battered, shaken, but still alive. Captain Lee knew they had seen only a fragment of the alien power. Something ancient and incomprehensible was testing humanity, probing limits, and the journey into the darkness had only just begun. The Sol system was no longer safe. Every human in the fleet understood that survival now meant facing what they could not imagine, and the unknown had already claimed its first victims, leaving behind only questions, fear, and the echo of silence. The lost world, the remaining human fleet, limped past Uranus, battered and tense. Captain Arya Lee's eyes never left the main screen, scanning for signs of the alien fleet. Then the sensors picked something strange, a world hidden in shadow beyond Saturn. It was not on any star chart, not recorded by any probe, a planet cloaked in darkness and mystery. "Captain, it's ancient," whispered Lieutenant Mara, her voice trembling. The planet's surface glowed faintly, with structures taller than mountains, stretching across vast plains. The fleet approached cautiously, orbiting the planet at a safe distance. It was a lost world, untouched by humans, yet eerily familiar in design, as if crafted by a mind far older than humanity. Captain Lee assembled a landing team, small and fast. They descended in pods toward the alien ruins, engines whispering against the thick atmosphere. The closer they got, the more alive the planet felt. Structures pulsed with energy, like veins carrying some unknown force. Symbols etched in stone glimmered faintly, moving as if alive, telling stories humans could almost understand, but not fully. The landing team explored the ruins, every step filled with wonder and fear. Walls stretched higher than they could see, towers twisted in impossible angles. Strange machines lay dormant, yet energy hummed beneath their surfaces. "Who built this?" asked Engineer Cohn, awe in his voice. "And why here?" "No record," said Captain Lee. "But whatever it is, it's older than our sun." Then they found the message, etched in glowing glyphs, pulsing with strange light. Mara's translator struggled, unable to decipher, but one phrase became clear: "Do not awaken them." A shiver ran through the team. The warning, simple but heavy. They realized the aliens they faced were not newcomers but guardians, ancient and powerful beyond imagination. The human fleet in orbit sent anxious messages to the landing team, but signals were weak, warped by energy from the planet. Even the AI struggled to interpret the readings, unable to distinguish between natural and artificial. Suddenly, shadows moved among the ruins, faster than the eye could follow, figures without form, yet undeniable in presence, weaving between towers and walls. Pods in orbit trembled, energy surging unpredictably, lights flickering, sensors screaming. Captain Lee's voice was firm, commanding, but inside she felt the weight of fear, the pull of the unknown. "Prepare for extraction." "Now," she ordered, urgency in every word. The shadows seemed to notice them, pausing, observing, almost studying. For a heartbeat, silence reigned, thick and suffocating. Then, a wave of energy surged outward, washing across the landing team. Pods rocked violently, instruments went wild, and every human felt a strange connection to the planet. Memories, thoughts, and fears collided in their minds, like the planet itself was reading them, judging them, testing them. They barely escaped, pods racing back to orbit, hearts pounding, minds shaken. The alien world receded into shadow below, silent, powerful, unknowable. Captain Lee looked at the fleet, smaller now, weary, but alive. She knew the journey was far from over. The warning echoed in her mind, "Do not awaken them," and she understood that the next move would not be theirs to make alone. The lost world had shown its power, and humanity realized they were no longer explorers. They were trespassers in a place older than memory. and the alien forces watching them from the shadows were far more dangerous than anything they had faced before. The vanishing human fleet hovered on the edge of the unknown. Battered, smaller, and trembling, Captain Arya Lee's hands gripped the console, eyes scanning the alien fleet that waited silently beyond Saturn. The lost world behind them pulsed faintly, a warning etched into memory. Every crew member knew the danger, yet there was no turning back, curiosity and duty pulling them forward. Then it began, slowly at first, a ripple in space, a distortion that bent light, twisted reality. Ships trembled, alarms screamed, and sensors failed one by one. The alien fleet moved as if alive, surrounding humanity's small forces, immense vessels shimmering with impossible energy. No communication, no warning, only presence, and humans could feel the sheer power pressing against them. "Prepare for emergency maneuvers," Captain Lee shouted, voice steady but fierce. Pods scrambled, engines pushed to the limit, but it was useless. One by one, ships vanished into the ripple, swallowed by a void that seemed to stretch across the system. There were no explosions, no debris, only emptiness where they had been. Fear gripped the fleet, but Captain Lee's command kept them moving, guiding survivors through the chaos. Lieutenant Mara's console flickered wildly, showing glimpses of stars bending. "Captain, they're not just ships, they're folding space," she whispered, voice tight with terror. Humanity's technology, advanced as it was, could not comprehend the alien power. Even the AI faltered, unable to calculate, unable to reason. The fleet became a shadow of itself, only a few ships still responding, desperate to escape. And then came the final test, the ultimate display of power. A massive wave of energy, cold and silent, rolled through space. Pods shuddered, lights went out, systems died, and every human felt themselves pulled toward the void. Captain Lee shouted orders, but even she could feel the grip of something greater. Ships disappeared around her, friends and comrades gone in an instant. Only fragments remained, drifting, lost in the alien storm. For a moment, silence returned, heavy and suffocating. The stars outside seemed unchanged, yet the Sol system was no longer safe. The aliens had not attacked in anger, nor had they destroyed indiscriminately. They had shown their power, tested humanity, and claimed what they chose. The few surviving ships floated in the dark, shaken and terrified. No one knew if they would ever return home. If Earth would hear their story, Captain Lee stared into the darkness, knowing that humanity had glimpsed something far older, stronger, and beyond comprehension. "They are everywhere," whispered Ensign Juro, fear in his voice. "They are the keepers of this system, and we have crossed their path," added Commander Ra. Voiced low, the fleet drifted silently, surrounded by the alien presence. No one spoke, each mind racing with questions, regret, and awe. Finally, Captain Lee gave the order no one wanted to hear. "Hold position, and survive if you can," she said. The remaining ships turned slowly, aware that escape might be impossible. And then, as if the universe itself obeyed the alien will, the Sol system seemed to shift. The stars warped, the planets trembled, and the last human voices were swallowed by the void. The story of the fleet would never reach Earth. Not a single soul returned to tell the tale. The Sol system became silent again, calm and endless, but somewhere, in the darkness, the alien watchers remained, observing, testing, guarding their ancient secrets. And humanity learned a bitter truth. The universe is vast, powerful, and utterly indifferent, and some stories are never meant to be told.